So now I want to take a look at my data in a master's details view. And with that, I would have the information presented like this. This is just a simple grid view. But maybe I don't want to show all of the information on the very front. Maybe there's too much, it gets too wide, or it's just not appropriate, whatever. But I want a way to select a record, and when I select a record, then view more details. So that's what we're going to work on setting up now. So I have my database example. I have a web page, an ASPX page called View All States. It just contains a data source that goes and gets the information and a grid view to display it. So I want to remove a couple of fields from this grid view. Capital, bird, and flower are details that we don't necessarily need on the front page. You can pick a state, and then when you pick the state, the details of that state could be shown. So I want to create a way to select a state. So I'm going to use a hyperlink field and add it. I'll want to enter the text that will display to the user that they can click on, and select is just fine. You could do view or whatever you wanted to do here. Then I need to figure out how we're going to pass this information to a different page. So basically what's going to happen is the user will click on the word select for this first record. Then this first record will get the primary key and pass that primary key to a different page. And the primary key I'm using, if you remember from my database, state ID. And then I'll want the navigate form. So what page do I want to go to? And this is the name of the page. Question mark separates the name of the page from the query string that's about to follow. And the query string is state ID equals, and then curly bracket, 0, curly bracket. It's just a wildcard that means whatever is being passed, except that. So now when I save this up, when I view it in the browser, fewer details are shown, and I have the method to select. And when I click select, it will get the primary key, or the state ID, for Alabama, and pass it as a query string to my state details page. So let me create that state details page now. So it'll pass it back to this page. This page will need a SQL data source. I'll connect with my connection string. I'll pick the correct table. And then once I have the correct table, I can pull what I would like, and I'll just keep pulling everything is fine. I want to be able to update, delete, and insert, so I'm going to check that. But I'm going to use a where statement now. So I want to pull all of those records where the state ID is equal to the query string. And the query string field is state ID. After I do that, I need to add it. And I can't really test that one. After I have my SQL data source, I'll drop in a details view. I can edit these fields. I can enable insert, edit, and delete. And I have no need to page. So once I have this, I can test it. So if I go to my grid view, my view all states, when I click select, it's going to grab the state ID for the state I pick. And if you watch down here in the corner, you can see it pick a different state ID. So there it's picking 3 for Alabama. California is 6. It will take that state ID and pass it as a query string to state details. The where clause in the SQL data source will look it up and return the details for the one record that matches that query string. I can edit it. I can delete it. When I delete it and go back to view state, California is gone. So I have a way to see them all, to select one, edit, delete it back here, and I can create a new one from here. The problem is if I want to create a new one, I have to go through all of those steps. It would be easier if I could just click a new state. All of the work for the new state is pretty much done here in state details, so I'm going to copy this and paste it back into my website. And then I'm going to rename it. And make sure you do the renaming following these steps so that the code behind files and everything like that gets cleaned up. For a new state, I don't need the where clause. I'll pick the correct table. I need those statements. Okay, and when I refreshed the details view to the data source, it changed my fields again. On this new one, I don't need state ID. So I have all my fields set now. I will enable inserting only here. Default mode is set to insert. I can remove inserting from here. Now, if I save and view this, I can see all my states. I can pick a state. I can edit the state. I can delete the state. And if I try to add a new state, it starts with a blank record. And then to see if that was in there, I can view all the states again. So this is working pretty well. Functionally, it's fine. It has some user interface issues, though. For instance, when I edit, it takes me back here, and I kind of hang out. I might like to get redirected back to that view all states. And when I delete, I just kind of hang here. And when I insert, I just kind of hang there as well. After you put it in, it just kind of sits here. I might like to be returned to this kind of front page each time. So to do that, I'm going to get into the code behind. So the code behind for the new state. I'm going to pick that details view, and here I just left the default name. If you have it something more user-friendly, that's fine. And item inserted. And then I'm just going to redirect it back to that view all states. state details, and here I can pick that details view again. I can edit. And for editing, I can use a different way. So response redirect will take me there immediately. I can do kind of a refresh. So after like 3 seconds, then it'll move me. To do that, I will response.add header. I'll refresh. After 3 seconds, take me to view all states.aspx. And then from here, I can also delete. So from the details view, item deleted. The other thing I want to do on my new state when the page loads, I want to give the details view 1 focus. And that'll let the cursor fall right into that box and let me start typing immediately. All right, so now let's see how things are functioning. I can pick a state. When I delete the state, I'm taken right back here and I can see it's gone. That's good. I can edit the state. And when I edit the state, it holds here for a minute to let me see my edits and then returns. And for new states, I can see the cursor is already in the box and ready to go. That was the dot focus. And after I insert, it takes me back. So our functionality seems to be working well. So the other thing I would like here, after I delete a state, instead of just going immediately back, I'd like a little message that tells me what state was deleted. So to do that, I'm going to get onto the page where I'm deleting, so state details. I'm going to get into the code behind, and I'm going to get into the item deleted sub. I'm going to capture the details of the state I just deleted, so I declared a variable as a string. I'm going to get the value that I want to display, and this is the database name, so state name, which matches up right here, and dump that to a string. And then I just created a label, deleted the text out of it and give it a more friendly ID. And into that label, the text property, I'm going to dump my variable, and then the details has been deleted. So that I get to see that for just a second, I'm going to switch from the response redirect to the response add header. And so after 3 seconds, then I'll go back to the starting page. So let's see how this works. So notice my state name is this long. Here, let me make it. My state name is Mike. So when I delete, hopefully in that label, it'll say Mike was deleted. Looks pretty good. Now, if I want to format that, I can get into the state details where the label was at. And get into the source code. It's just a little easier to work with, and put a span tag in there. I'm going to give it the class ID, class name of deleted state, and then put the other end of that span tag after my label. So my label is contained within the span tag. Span tag class name is deleted state. So that refers to a CSS class. So let me create a CSS spreadsheet, style sheet, I mean. Deleted state, I think, was our span ID, our class name. Deleted state. And then I can color red and font style italic. And the last thing I need to do is connect up this style sheet to this page. I'll do that here in the head. Okay, so now when I look at it, that label should be inside of that span. It should come back red and italic, which it is doing. So this is the master details view, and it's pretty useful if you want to just display a couple of things about the record, and then select in to view more details about the record. It's also a really easy way to set up for new records, editing records, deleting records, etc.